Welcome back to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. For those of you who doubt the healing power of writing, yet another author weighs in on this show on how critical telling his story was to being able to get on with the rest of his life. A certified financial planner tells us how you can build a practice that lasts. A young man overcomes his struggles with his sexual identity and finds true love. And Dungeons and Dragons inspires a team effort to take you out of this world. But first, let's talk parenting. Lisa Williams is a psychology professor in Massachusetts. She's also a mother of 9-year-old twins, and she discovered along the way she had a lot to share about parenting. The name of her book, Parenting Isn't Hard. You're just doing it wrong. So you get a lot of advice as a young mom, don't you?
You know, I remember being very new to it and everybody around me being very negative, and I heard a lot of like, oh, you're never going to sleep again. You're double trouble. You're in for this. You're in for that. And I remember being like, you know, I feel like this doesn't have to be so hard. So that's kind of where the idea came from.
That's terrible. You poor thing.
I know. It was more common than I realized. I would talk to other twin parents and they'd be like, oh yeah, you'll hear it all. For the first 5 years of their life, you'll hear like how horrible it's going to be, how it just keeps getting worse. And the older they are, the worse the problems. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Geez, because they're twins or just because they're, bringing up children?
Yeah, I think a combination of both, like bringing up children in general. But definitely the twin aspect because, and it was funny because my twins were amazing sleepers and I'd host play dates and people that were there, I'd go put them to bed, like in their little cribs, and people would be like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I just put them to bed. I don't know. Like they just go right to sleep and they sleep for 12, 13 hours a night. And I don't know if I was lucky, but I felt like, I was like, I'm doing something right here. If I'm getting this isn't that hard. And I kept waiting for it to get hard and it just never really did. But I also put a disclaimer in the book that I haven't had teenagers yet. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be a text edit and
the thing that I noticed, having raised children and now I have grandchildren is there's a lot of rules.
Yes.
There's, don't forget to put the baby in the sack and zip it up. Don't forget to put the blackout curtains up.
The white noise, the air purifier.
Yeah. Does your book agree with that or what?
The book, I know it's worded like that. Like people it's funny because I've had some funny conversations with people that are like, oh, hey. And I'm like, no, it's not offensive. And it's not telling you what you do wrong. It's more just like, it's nothing like that. It's no like rules you need to live by. It's more like how you can make your life easier by not indulging in certain behaviors or allowing certain behaviors or helicoptering is a really big one. Everybody's so stressed out as parents now because we don't want our kids to do anything. We want to see them, watch them all the time. And of course, nobody wants anything bad to happen, but it's kind of one of those like, so once you really get into the book, you start to realize the vibe of it is more like, this is what you can do. Like I have a background in developmental psychology, I studied child development, adolescent development for years. And I just remember thinking like, even before I had kids, that I was going to have a certain parenting style that like, I kind of wanted to bring it back. I always say that I'm an old soul, that I was meant to live in like the 40s and be like a housewife that has a cocktail for her husband ready when he gets home. And, like my kids are out playing until the street lights come on kind of thing. But that's not the society we live in. So we have to adjust. And I just think that there's things people can do to, like not take on the stress of when your kids are having a tantrum. Like when the parent takes it on too, and then everybody's upset and then it's just a constant cycle. It's like instead, kind of shift the focus onto like, what do you need? Like, just tell me what you need if you can communicate like that yet. And kind of like getting down to their level and certain examples of things where you could really just make your life easier.
Okay. Give me some examples.
The tantrum one is a good one because that was another, like that's really tough when you're a new parent and it can be embarrassing if there's a tantrum in public and you want to just give in to the behavior because it's an easy solution. But that's not, right? So sometimes it's harder to remove yourself or your kids from that situation, but in the long run, it's an opportunity for a learning example or a learning opportunity, I should say. I give a lot of examples about like convenience and how we've really become a very convenient society. It's easier to just give our kids the drive-through dinner or, like the prepackaged snacks and stuff like that. But if we just invest that time, it actually in the long run makes your life easier because there's less development of allergies. There's less sicknesses. I mean, I made all my own baby food and it really wasn't that hard. You know, like I remember people saying there were certain conveniences that I certainly took on. Like, you know, I had a lot of friends that did cloth diapers and I was like, absolutely not am I doing that with twins. But where I could find, you know, and what I wanted to invest in was like their health and things like, you know, making baby food from scratch, which really wasn't difficult. It was like, you're going to the store to buy baby food. If you go to the store and buy a whole avocado and mash it up instead, that's fresh, it's going to have more long-term benefits than this prepackaged food, which there's nothing wrong with. And I gave formula, I did things that made my life more convenient in certain ways, but finding that balance, I think, is worth the investment.
Right.
And then, yeah, the screen thing was a big one because they're 9 and they still don't have screens. They don't have, I mean, they go on things, but they don't have their own devices, which, you know, is starting to become a little bit of an issue, but it's personal. And I have the conversation with the twins all the time where it's a family decision. It's family choices, like lifestyles. They're no strangers to it. They play video games on the TV at home. You know, we have an iPad and a computer, but it's very limited screen time. And because I know about the downfalls of blue light and the developing brain and too much time on it and what it does to long-term usage to developing brains, unfortunately, they have to hear that a lot. Now that they're old enough, they roll their eyes at me. They're like, "Oh, Mom." And I'm like, well, you'll thank me later when, you know, you don't have these problems. But I have had people come up to me from the time that they were old enough to not be in a high chair at restaurants being like, wow, your kids are just sitting here. And I was like, I'm sorry? And they were like, yeah, they're just sitting here, like, not on a screen. And I was like, oh, you know, we just have conversations. And they were like, how do you do that? And I remember thinking, like, no, this is just our norm. Like, it's, you know, I would see kids sitting there, and I know it's nice, you want to go out to dinner and not have your kid, you know, throw a tantrum or be loud or cry or whatever. But from an early age, my kids were programmed, I should say, I don't know if that's a good word, but to have conversations, to be present. And I think that that's something that we're losing as a society. Everybody's on their phones, everybody's face is buried in a screen all the time. So, you know I'm not going to change the world or society by any means, but I think that this book was the start of, like, if you're feeling like parenting is really hard, it really doesn't have to be. And here's why. And that's why I wanted it to be short, because I didn't want it to be a hard book to read or take a lot of time. So there was all these kind of you know, aspects of thoughtfulness within the book that I wanted to make sure for new parents or seasoned parents or people who just wanted to be mad at me.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you able to promote your book?
Yes, I have done a little bit of that. Yeah. The college where I'm currently employed, unfortunately, we just found out last week is ceasing operations at the end of the semester. They certainly helped promote it. My book came out at the end of January and I did a podcast with them. They helped me market it. I had a big signing. I've actually had 2 signings for it so far, just locally, just kind of promoting like the local author thing. But I was kind of hoping that the academic world would do more, but the book isn't academic. I don't give it's like you wouldn't read it to learn about the brain or like why you shouldn't drink caffeine when you're pregnant. Like those kinds. I remember it was getting edited by one of my colleagues and he was like, why can't you drink caffeine when you're pregnant? And I was like, if you don't know that, you need to start with a different book. I was like, this is not the book. That's not what I'm trying to do. I don't want it to be scientific. It's supposed to be lighthearted. I put a lot of humor into it to make it feel that way, that it's not like just telling you what to do or making you feel like you're doing everything wrong. It's kind of a balance of all these aspects of parenting that can feel really overwhelming, but also make you feel like you're not alone. And you've been in the grocery store when your kids like I wanted it to be very relatable and not feel like you have to have a psychology degree to understand what I'm talking about. But I've always had a very like positive outlook on life. And I feel like if I could help people kind of try and portray that as well, no matter how difficult it feels like in the moment, and that it's never going to be that way forever. Kids are constantly changing. And if we can adapt with them, it actually makes your life easier.
What's next for you?
So right now, all I've really done is just local like coffee shops who, you know, moms who come in with their kids, and
that's great.
We have, little conversations about it kind of. But I'm obviously I was in the thick of the semester when the book came out. So I was hoping this summer was going to be more, and now I'll have plenty more.
Yeah.
But Yeah, definitely, and I have Barnes and Noble. I have a signing coming up with them in a few weeks.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to keep writing?
I am. I'm already in the site. So this is going to be a series. It's called Doing It Wrong Books. I have a lot of ideas for the different aspects. The one I'm currently about halfway through right now is about exercising, because I got my personal trainer certificate last summer. And it's definitely like more of not like, it's called Exercising Isn't Hard, You're Just Doing It Wrong. And it's not about like actually how to exercise. It's more about like the psychological aspects behind exercising and what holds people back, about like getting into a routine and living a healthy lifestyle, because it is really easy to just say no to those kinds of things. Right. Or I don't have time for that, or whatever it is. So this series is very like, I tried, the doing it wrong thing is supposed to be funny. It's, most of the reactions I've got, if people can understand that. It's not that I'm telling you you're doing everything wrong, right. But it gets people's attention. People want to know what it is that they think they're doing wrong. Right. So I was going to do one on teaching, because I have a lot of experience with that. One of the things about my college closing is I'm kind of trying to see it as a blessing in disguise, that maybe this could be a launch into like just a writing career for me.
Yeah.
And adjunct work, still teach, but just kind of on the side, because I'm not going to become a millionaire from this. But
hey, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, good for you, man. Lisa Williams, author of Parenting Isn't Hard, You're Just Doing It Wrong. Thank you. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Yes, thanks so much for talking to me.
I could write a book on the number of authors I have interviewed who found healing through writing. Young Darby is one of them. He wrote his book, Widowed in the Hood, after he lost his wife, and was astounded by what some people say when they don't know what to say after the loss of a loved one.
This book, actually, the writing of it kept me alive. Writing this book was like a lifeline. It contributed greatly to keeping me alive, really, because I couldn't find nothing else to do at the time. While I was going through, I didn't know what to do, or I needed something to hold on to, because you know how it is. I don't know if you ever experienced it before, but a lot of your people, they come, your friends, your associates, even the church members, they come with these scripts, saying stuff like, she's in a better place.
Yeah.
You'll be all right. God needed her for something. Like they had a private conversation with God, right? She's in heaven right now, smiling down on you and dance and probably clapping and dancing and having a great time. It's like now they're a prophet. And, I said, man, and these people that I'm talking to, or are talking to me, they are, some of them, I'm thinking in my mind as a widower, you don't even go to church, pray on your knees, or read the Bible until something bad happened. Now you're telling me you see her up in heaven dancing and clapping, but I can't tell them that. And when they say like, you'll be all right, I mean, that kind of hurt, man. Only if they knew what I was going through, and the emptiness and the hollowness that's inside. You don't even, and it's hard to even get a sleep at night. So these are some of the things that made me want to write this book. It's because the stuff that the widowers and me was going through is they didn't know how to relate to us. I talked to other widowers, and by some chance, one of my friends, he lost his wife like within the same week I lost mine, and he called me up and said, "Hey man, I heard about your situation." I said, "Yeah," and then he told me about his, and I said, "What?" Because he knew mine, and I know his wife. And I said, "What you gonna do?" He said, "Man, I'm leaving." And I know why he was leaving the church. And he was a dedicated member of the church, but I know why he was leaving. because he got tired of hearing the same old thing. She's in a better place. You'll be all right. God needed her. And then I think what hurt us the most is when they come out and say things like, well, like the next day, they act like everything is all over with the next day or the next week or whatever. They
Mm.
come by and say stuff like, how you doing? And so what? What do you mean, how am I doing? Do the widow is thinking. I'm thinking. I mean, I just lost my wife. I've been with this lady for over 30 years. And then I talk to people that's been with their wife for over 40 and 50 and 60 years. And the story is the same. They come by the next day and ask, or the next week or whatever, and say, hey, how you doing? Is everything all right? How you feeling? That they don't know. That stuff cuts us like a knife.
I think people don't know what to say because you're right. Unless you've lost a spouse, you don't know what that feels like.
Here's the thing. I believe in God. So even though these things are true, this is not the time. You're not supposed to be coming telling me this like it's true yourself because you don't know. And plus, and look at Jesus. I take him as an example. When Jesus lost his friend, someone that he really loved, the Bible said, he didn't come and tell them they was in a better place and he's up in heaven dancing and you'll be all right. You know what Jesus did? You know what Jesus said? Nothing, nothing. The Bible said one thing. It said that, and Jesus wept. And that's what we're supposed to do. When we come around someone that's suffering a heavy loss, that the best thing that we can do for that person is to weep with them because there's no words.
Well, in your book, what do you talk about in your book? You talk about the frustrations with all of these things that people tell you,
Yep.
People who have
Yep.
no idea what you're going through. What do you
Yep.
suggest they do?
They say nothing. They say nothing. They weep with them. They be with them. Uh, the things that they know that the person might need, they can do that for them. They can help them. These things are in the book, yes. Um, and the book also talks about why the widower is so unknown. See, the widower, he's very quiet at the time. I'm talking about the widower because most of the books you read out there about the widow, the lady
Hmm.
that lost her husband.
Hmm.
But it's rare to find a insightful book that will talk about the widower who has lost his wife. That's the reason why I wrote this book. So consulted the Bible first because I'm looking in the Bible for some advice and leading and guidance on this. And as I read the Bible, I looked at the Bible from Old Testament to New Testament. The word widower is not mentioned in it at all. I didn't trust it. I didn't trust my looking through it. So I got a concordance. I got a strong. I did everything. You look up the word in different ways, different, because the Bible sometimes is. I mean, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, and the New Testament part was written in Greek, and then a portion was in Latin. So I looked it up in those languages, but the word widower was not established. And then the book will tell you why, because really people, men, did not want to be actually known as with a word attached to them, calling them something like that. But widow was in the Bible. That word been around for a long, long. That word always been around. But you talking about a widower? No, that word didn't come into play, into focus, into the 14th century in 1377. That's when that word became, acknowledged as a word to use to describe this person condition. And then even after then, people don't like carrying that. They don't like carrying that title. The men like to be called unmarried or single. And some of them don't even mind being called a bachelor, but they're not a bachelor no more. But they can go by that title if they want to.
So what's the bottom line for your book?
Well, one of the things I want them to do is stop bullshit. Stop. I'm, come to him in sincerity. Come to him with a listening ear, a real listening ear, come to him in quiet and cry with him.
Okay.
And the best way you can understand him really is when you quietly around him and you're listening to him and know that you don't know how he feels. Because see, some people, a widower can be a widower, could grieve for the rest of their life. I didn't know that because most of my friends were saying, "Hey, you know, normally, man, about a year, 2 you'll be all right." Some saying it's about 6 months, and some saying about no, it took so and so a year, or so it took so and so 2 years. I mean, there's so many stories you will hear, and I've heard, and other widowers have heard. So, but the fact of the matter is, you can actually grieve to the end of your life until you're gone. And that's why I want them to read this book so they can actually help those that's going through and by giving them a right counsel. Because no one knows the widower because they know the person that he was when he was with her. But after he left her, he became a different person. He woke up in a different reality. They're not the same person. So they think they still know the person. So they still talking to them the same way. But they don't know the person. That's why that person can go off and be quiet and don't want to be with nobody or leave the area or just don't want to answer the phone. All these things is in the book.
Are you going to keep writing?
Sure. I got another book. This book should is actually finished. But I wanted to make sure that this one is completely off the table. I turned this over to a publisher.
Okay.
The new book. The new book is a fiction.
Okay. All right. You are young Darby, author of Widowed in the Hood. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
After 3 decades as a certified financial planner in Tennessee, Roger Kiger decided he had to make an effort to right some wrongs in his industry. The end result is his book, The Independent Path: How New Financial Advisors Can Build a Practice That Lasts.
You know, the big corporate investment firms do investments in a way that benefits the corporate investment firms, which means that a lot of advisors try to be independent, which is great. But the problem with advisors being independent is financial advisors think they are good business people, when in reality, if they don't have any business experience, it's hard to be independent and run your own practice. So my book tries to explain how and why to do that and covers a lot of mistakes that I made and when I did it, because I started my firm 17 years ago now. So been through a lot of changes, seen a lot of industry evolutions, tried to adapt and change, and we're still doing it. We're still changing how we do things to prepare for the next decade of changes and technology and all the transition that goes along with that.
What would you say are the most common mistakes?
Well, they don't run their practice like a business. They think that they can hang out a sign and the people will come. And that, business just doesn't work that way. You have to start with a business plan that says, how much business do you need? Identify your target market and how you're going to find those people. And if you don't work the activities to do that every day, you won't have enough business. And that's why most advisors fail in the first year.
Are most advisors on their own, or are they linked into, a company?
70% of our industry works for a larger institution,
right?
Or a corporate firm.
But not you.
30% of us are independent, which is where I am.
And that's difficult.
It is really difficult.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding because the relationships we develop with our clients span decades of, family transition and investment transition and life changes. And we get paid to help people through all those life changes. And so we're side by side through all the ups and the downs.
Does it matter how much somebody makes? Do they still need a financial advisor no matter what?
So we can't help somebody if they don't know how to pay their bills.
Okay.
Right? we're not cash flow analysts and we're not credit specialists, but we can help people that are making 5 figures or 6 figures, right? I mean, if they have to have some discretionary income. And a lot of our clients come from people that we've helped, reallocate their resources and help them with their spending on the front end. And once they get that under control, a year or two later, they'll come back to us as clients. But the way we charge as a profession, it's hard to make a living focused only on people that do not have assets.
Right.
So we really do most of that stuff as pro bono work.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's nice to know.
I've got one gentleman that I meet once a month in the evenings for free. And I told him I'd work for him for free for a year, as long as he takes my advice. And after that, he'll be a great client.
That's very nice of you. How many people do that?
Most advisors that have been around for a while recognize the need to sort of give back to our profession. And I would say a large percentage of advisors that are independent do that. Now, when you work for a large corporation, they don't give you the time or the resources to do that because they want you to focus only on the clients that have a lot of money.
Right. So you were saying that the biggest mistake people make is they don't run it like a business. Do you provide a step-by-step guide on how to do that?
I've got all the experience and all the stories. So I start with an outline of what an independent advisor needs to run their own practice and build their own practice and become successful, right? They have to identify their market. They have to figure out their activities. They have to have some financing. They have to be able to work for free for some time period to get to where they are self-sufficient. And depending on the market they're looking at, depending on how much you're willing to work, depending on if they already have some clients already, that time period is anywhere from 6 months to 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years meeting with people and trying to get to know them and getting to know what their needs are before you really start making any real money.
Correct.
Can AI help with that?
AI does help with that. And frankly, that's part of, I dedicated a chapter in the book to AI because AI will replace advisors that do not use AI. So we as advisors have to use AI to help with a lot of that. And AI helps with all the marketing stuff. AI helps with a lot of the planning things. And AI can build a lot of investment portfolios. The problem is AI is going to write the same recommendations for everybody unless the inputs are very, very specific, which is where the advisor has to add that personal touch. All of those questions that they ask when they meet with or talk to a client or a prospect, and all the work that they've done with clients over the years. AI is not going to modify that portfolio without the correct inputs.
Can you give me an example of that?
Well, at the highest level, if you ask AI for an investment portfolio, it's going to give you a generic allocation, which might be fine if you're just starting and need 3 or 4 investments to recommend. But in today's market, there's a lot more going on than just what AI is going to recommend. Right? There's a lot, with oil prices are high, do you buy or sell it? There's technology that's been through a big downturn, and do you buy or sell it? And, are you closer to retirement? Do you need to be more aggressive or more conservative? You can add some of those inputs to AI, but again, it's still going to give you the same recommendation it gives everybody, which is what corporate America does on the investment side. They say, well, if you're this age and you have this much money, you need this allocation. And I think as an independent advisor, we don't subscribe to that.
The AI could be wrong. You could be wrong, right?
Well, AI hallucinations is a thing, right? There are cited cases where if AI doesn't know the answer, it makes it up, right? So you got to be a little bit careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
But we've used AI to pick investment portfolios, and we've worked around it because none of the allocations we feel are the best allocation. But they're, it's a place to start, if you will.
Yeah. But also convincing your clients that AI alone will not do the trick for them.
Well, it's the path of least resistance, right?
Mm,
Hey, if I can do that instead of meeting with somebody, well, why wouldn't I do that?
right.
Save me a couple of hours. Well, good luck with that.
It's also understanding the investments, understanding the market,
Right.
and the way the market is changing right now. I don't even know how you keep up.
Well, right. This is why we do this full time versus most people who might run an AI ask for an AI recommendation for 30 minutes on a Saturday morning when they're not working.
Right. Right.
You kind of, it's a do what you always did, get what you always got, and, the garbage in, garbage out kind of thing.
Yeah. So where do you talk about your book?
It's crazy. I've got a legal pad. I know I'm old school. I have all these people that have reached out about the book, and I'm just now getting started, probably in the next few weeks, to start marketing it and go to this author event type events. I didn't really write the book as a way for me to try to generate a whole bunch of income or money from book sales. I haven't thought through that piece of it. I really wrote it more to help the people in my industry. The next step is for me to get it out there so that people know how to look for it, because they got to be able to find it.
All right. Are you going to keep writing?
I hadn't really thought about it until the last couple of months, but I probably will write another one in the next year or two based on how AI is going to change the industry. I think I'll do one just based on that.
I think that's a great idea because that's what everybody's talking about now. That's what everybody's worried about now. And it's very scary to think that AI is going to answer all of our questions and solve all of our problems.
Well, AI is scraping that data from all of the stuff online, right? I mean, my profile, when you do a Google search for me, has changed tremendously in the last 6 months because AI has scraped all this stuff from a lot of other places that we never really thought it would pull from. It's not bad, but it's things that I really never thought to put out there publicly, right? Personal stuff.
Right.
And some of my experience things. Yeah, I've got my own profile on my business website, which is quite a bit different from what AI says about me. It's not bad. It's just different.
Is that concerning to you?
It's not concerning for me. It is concerning for everybody, I think. And I think everybody should be concerned about it.
Yeah, I think you ought to get on that AI book right now, Roger.
The thing that's concerning about our industry is the people that use AI for the wrong purposes now have access to way more information about me and everybody else to be able to try to do illegal things. That's my concern.
That is very scary. You are Roger Kiger, author of The Independent Path: How New Financial Advisors Can Build a Practice That Lasts. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time. I've enjoyed talking to you.
A love story based on the real-life friendship and journals of a young man Scott Michaels has known his entire life. Memoirs from the Gold Coast is the story of Byron Kensington, who with Scott's help and guidance overcame his struggles with his sexual identity and found the love of his life. Now, Scott, you've written 5 books, including one 30 years ago about how you got fired from a law firm after you were outed for dating a partner who was the love of your life. Years later, you meet Byron, and he and his partner ask you to write their story to give hope to others in a similar situation. So tell me about Byron.
He and I, we came from a privileged background. My father had a large construction company, and my dad helped build Orange County, and Byron Kensington's dad did as well. I took pity on Byron. He is about 20 years younger than me.
Okay.
So when I was approaching 30, he was in his teens. Our parents knew each other. Our dads were best friends. And I could tell that he was probably gay, though it's not obvious to most, but if you are gay, you probably recognize it. And I could see that he was struggling, and so we became friends, platonically, of course, lifetime friends. And I've guided him to understand the gay world and our history and how it's affecting him, and that this will one day, hopefully will one day change. I'm a pioneer of the gay movement. I came out shortly after the Stonewall riots. And so I helped him along the way to finally, in the 90s, this is a period piece, and it starts in 1996. The first book, Memoirs from the Gold Coast, goes from 96 to 98. And the world was starting to change. There's a lot of gay history in the book because I'm targeting young people like Byron, as well as older, I would say gays, but romance, gay or straight, they would understand this book and be drawn to it. It's written so tenderly, and most of it, although it's fiction, the majority of it is real life. And by 1996, he meets his life partner. And so I go through their struggles, but it's a pleasant story. It's not all, struggle and whatnot. They're two unique individuals, Byron Kensington and Matteo Maggiano, an Italian immigrant whose parents own a wine and olive oil worldwide distribution. They have a large estate of vineyard and olive groves in Tuscany in the Chianti region. His dad came to a point in his life where he's ready to retire, and Matteo was his oldest son, and especially in European men, the business goes to the oldest son. And Matteo comes to America. There's a thing called the Gold Coast, Corona del Mar. It goes all the way to San Clemente, and it was then and still is to this day one of the richest counties and the richest strips of land in all of America. And his family moved to a place called Crystal Cove, which is right next door to Laguna Beach. Byron, his parents came from Laguna Niguel, which is part of the Gold Coast, and choking view. Their house is way at the top of Laguna Niguel, and he enjoyed surfing and played football at Laguna Beach High School.
And so everyone assumed he was heterosexual. So he was really lucky to meet you when he did.
Yes, and so young people often go through identity crisis and shame and self-guilt and whatnot, and it shouldn't be. God made us in His own image, and He didn't make any mistakes. Another part of this book is in one particular chapter where Byron is arguing with Matteo's dad. Their parents find out that this couple is not just great friends, but they're in a relationship. And a lot of pressure was put on him. Matteo's dad disinherited him, at least for a while, because they were so upset about it. But it ends with the parents do finally accept this and realize that this is true and genuine love. It's mostly the mothers who sympathize and change the husbands' minds. And now even the husbands.
I'm not surprised by that at all, that the mothers would be more open and accepting, And you say this is a lasting love that they find.
Yes. And by the way, Mateo's dad completely does a 180 on his feelings. He reinstates Mateo and wants to send him to Italy to take care of business and so on. They had been relying on a caregiver back there, thinking they were going to be able to run the business from the States. That didn't work, so they need to send Mateo there. And he convinces his dad that it's so hard living on a 300-hectare olive grove and vineyard.
Oh, that sounds lonely and isolated.
Yes, and so he wants to bring Byron with him.
Okay, so we have to read the book to find out what happens there. So, Scott, how are you promoting your book? Any ideas?
I will be doing book tours first in Sacramento, readings, signings, and then I think I'd like to do Zoom meetings with various book clubs around the country, and I'm going to be sending sell sheets along with a hardcover and a paperback that I autograph to major places like gay community centers around the country, places like Stillwell, gay churches, famous gay bookstores like Castro District. I plan to do a book signing in the Castro for only one of their bookstores that's the main hub of all the others.
Okay.
And so, yes, I do have a plan.
You're just getting started, Scott.
Yeah. Oh, I love to write.
That's exciting.
And you're going to find out that I'm a very, very cinematic, creative writer, and I engage all the senses every chance I get, so you feel that you're there. It's the reason that Byron and Mateo approached me. Byron had been journaling their relationship, never planning to write a book, but eventually after their wedding, they contacted me to say, hey, we like your writing. We'd love for you to write this book. That was about 2 years ago. Took me a year to write it and about a year to edit it.
No higher compliment than that, Scott, honestly.
Thank you so much.
All right. You are Scott Michaels, author of Memoirs from the Gold Coast. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Verbena star and Foxx Cruz met while playing Dungeons & Dragons over 15 years ago, and thanks to COVID, the Keyline saga was conceived. Today we're talking about the first book in the series. It is entitled The Bone Tower. So, Foxx, it began with you.
I sat down and I was like, you know what? I've been sitting here playing modules and using other things. I don't use the lore from the books. I was like, you know what? I've always come up with my own stuff. Why don't I just use the system and use my own story? I was like, and not to mention the kids need something to do. This will help their math, their creativity. They'll keep them busy. And I can at least play with them and they can play with me and we can spend some family time together. So from that came this book's original groundwork, if you will. Based off, I used the bones from the original Pathfinder, if you will, for the structure. And then I just used my own storyline. And this carried on for like 2 years. And Verbena came over the house one day, the apartment one day, and she's like, I was like, I really like this, but no one wants to read my stuff anyway. She goes, you talk, I'll type.
Great idea.
So together I've refined and polished his work, and I've added my own ideas, and together we've built a world and developed the characters a bit more, and put together the first in our series called The Bone Tower.
So lay the groundwork for me.
Well, it is based off a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So it starts off with a group of students wanting to learn to become professional adventurers. And they get thrown into this epic adventure in a fight to save the world, basically.
They're teenagers, if you will, and they're from all different types of families and walks of life. And they basically come together in the school called Adventurers Academy, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The Adventures Academy is located in Orange City.
And basically, they come together. They get, just like when I was in the military, if you will, they get thrown together based on each other's skills. And next thing you know, they have to learn to either, one, get together, or two, really learn to get together because they blow it so bad. But everybody comes from all different places, from sorcerer to monk, get represented all throughout the book. They meet different challenges within the school. Then they get a chance to actually prove themselves out in the field. And that's where things kind of go, not left, but that's when the world really begins for them.
So, clearly we're not on Earth. Tell me a little bit more about where your characters are.
Yeah, this is not Earth. This is Adonia. Adonia is like Earth in very, very much respects. It's got 2 moons. It's got 1 sun. It's got its own galaxy and universe, its own mythos of gods, goddesses, demons, devils, angels, elemental lords, wild gods, all types of things like that. Elves, dwarves, humans, fairies, ogres, orcs, you name it.
Gnomes, dragons, halflings, all of them have to deal with emotional as well as physical events. So we try to create well-rounded characters.
Tell me about the guy who's on the back of a dragon.
That is Corvin Dawnstar.
He is the great grandfather.
Yeah, I'm going to say about 5.
5 greats?
Yeah, 5 greats.
One of the main characters. So it's a team. It's a group. So there's 7 main characters.
Yes. That's kind of my fault, because when we were writing it, I started liking my idea of background stories for everyone's character. I was like, you know what? I've always liked a good ensemble story. Like, I'm a big fan of X-Men. I'm a big fan of Transformers. We all love the teams, but we all have that individual character we might relate to a little bit, but we like the whole team somewhat more together. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I started adding things to everyone's character, because I actually started to fall in love with what I was writing. So I wanted to share that.
All right. So what is the bottom line for this first book?
It is a fantasy adventure that we want people to enjoy and kind of escape their reality for a little bit. The world has enough trauma and enough stress in it right now. And we want people to kind of just escape into another world and go through our adventure and just relate with our characters and maybe see a little in themselves and, just kind of grow with our team and enjoy the adventure.
How are you telling people about this?
We do events in Delaware right now. There's a Comic-Con in Dover that we do, DoverCon. And it's on June 13th this year. We have a booth there. And then there's Blue Hen Comic-Con at the Delaware State Fairgrounds in October this year. We do that one. We're looking to maybe go to one in Philly this year as well. We aim for a young adult, but it is pretty much a family kind of book. I'm looking at getting a book talk and an Instagram set up. We already have the Facebook page. We're working on book 2 as well. We're writing that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun.
Are you guys married?
No. Oh, God, no.
I wouldn't say, no. She's my sister. We know each other too well.
We have that brother-sister relationship.
Yeah, because, when you get to know somebody so well enough, you're kind of like, I like where we're at, and we're not messing this up with stupidity.
Yeah.
And his wife is one of my best friends.
Exactly. And plus, I was married. Well, me and Lori, we were together for what, 3 years by the time I met you?
Yeah, but you weren't married until after.
Yeah, much later.
Yeah.
A little later.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are so excited about this. Neither one of you had ever written before.
I mean, I did poetry, but never published anything before.
I published one poem a long, long time ago in a contest. You can find it in the Library of Congress, but it's not under my pen name. So,
Okay.
but that's about the only thing I've ever had published.
Yeah.
And like I said, if this wouldn't have happened, if Verbena hadn't said, just do it, and I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then some of my friends at work's like, I've read your book. When's book 2 coming out? I'm like, guys, we're working overtime.
Yeah.
You tell people stop buying stuff at Amazon for a couple of days, you know?
Okay. So you guys never published anything, but decided you were going to take the leap on this. And that is where so many writers get stopped in their tracks.
Yeah, I honestly, I just never hesitated. My advice is just do it. Literally just do it. Do not hesitate. Do not question yourself. Just do it.
If you're at the edge, jump. Sorry, on this decision. If you're on the edge of it, jump. Because there's no other way to do it. And it is like falling. It is like falling and not knowing if your feet's going to catch you or not. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth every step.
And you're going to get your haters and you're going to get the people who love it. It's going to happen. But
oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just have faith in yourself.
It's hard. It's hard. I am not going to diminish that it is hard. Okay.
It is. Because, I mean, you're putting yourself out there. This is pieces of you.
Right.
Yes.
That get put out there. We cried when we wrote this. Like we put ourselves into our characters. We dialogue. We role play. We do everything when we write these books. Like we literally get into our characters.
Yeah, because you make sure that it sounds like something our character would say or think what our character would think, because it's not the same when you're just writing. You want to, when you're just explaining something. Yeah. This is something that you have to literally put your adventurer's boots on, put your adventurer's belt on, put your adventurer's cap on, step out the door, and get with your crew.
Yeah. So I mean, we literally have made each other cry and like laugh and we've gone through all of the emotions with this.
Yeah. If we didn't feel it, we weren't gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
If it didn't feel right, we didn't put it in the book at all. Didn't even come close.
Is there a message here?
We write together, so it's a little different than most people would write because we literally write together. He calls it double Dutch. You want to explain double Dutch, Foxx?
I will explain the double Dutch method. I coined the phrase because growing up in New York, played double Dutch when you were with the friends when you were bored with your sister because she had all the friends. Anyway, that being said, double Dutch is somebody jumps in first. You got the ropes going, 2 ropes going at the same time. Then when somebody's ready, they jump in with you, and you go at the same pace, and you try to keep the same pace without screwing each other up. Now that's why I call it double Dutch, because she might go forward and get right into it, but then she'll stop, look up at me, read what she wrote, and then literally it'll be funnier than hell. I'll come right into it. So I'll slide in smoothly, and she's like, "That's it," and then we'll keep going.
Yeah. So if I get stuck, like he'll be like, "This is it," and then he'll say something. I'll be like, "That's it," and then he'll get stuck, and I'll be like, "This," and he's like, "That's it." So we just, whenever we get stuck, the others got it.
And I think that's why we're so comfortable.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much, Verbena Starr and Foxx Cruz, authors of The Bone Tower. It is the first book in the Leyline saga.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. We hope to see you back here every Saturday night at 8 o'clock, or listen to our podcast anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.